So it's finally the end of 2020. So I wanted to give everybody who happens by here who is looking at whether or not it's worth supporting this particular channel. I wanted to give you just some updates of what's been going on for me and what's been going on for Rose Connections, my business, as well as Temple of the Rose Gold Heart for my Patreons. Patreons, I'm not sure exactly. I'll just call them patrons for now. So here's what's happening for me personally. I have had a very close family member in the hospital after breaking his hip right before Thanksgiving. So if I have not been getting videos out, if I have not been responding to people, that's kind of why. And we moved some other family members into memory care. So that's been challenging. If you've ever cared for someone with dementia, we actually have 3 people in our family all at the same time who are going through that, as well as just being vulnerable to COVID because all of them are 90 years old or more. So anyway, that's what's been going on for me personally. So a lot of my time and energy has been spent there, as well as I've actually been working with a really great group of folks. I'll drop them in the comments below on some healing practices for myself, which has been very illuminating and very timely. I have really, I think, processed a lot of really old past life stuff that has been holding me back, and I have felt that. Yesterday was a bit of a catharsis, and there's a lot of different astrologers I follow who are basically affirming that this particular full moon was just going to be very emotional for us and was going to be very heavy. And so we're still in that full moon energy right now. And I've definitely been feeling it. And that heaviness is also including, just getting that normal, having that sense of normal for the holidays. The holidays were more stressful than, they were more chill in a lot of ways, but they were also a lot more stressful than I had imagined that they would be and that I had prepared for them to be. So it was just very interesting the last few weeks. So with that, I also had my birthday, and it was a wonderful birthday. Thank you for those of you who participated in sending me really wonderful, affirming energy for my birthday. I was just so happy with that. So I appreciate you for that. Likewise, I have been getting ready. So this is, dovetailing into what's kind of happening for me career-wise. I've been getting ready to do a presentation in 2 weeks' time, less than 2 weeks now, I think, on models of resilience in Terre D'Ange. So one of my absolute favorite series of books is Kushiel's Dart by Jacqueline Carey. And we call it Kushiel's Legacy. There's actually 9 books in the series. I view it as this alternative reality of if Christianity had not taken hold, if we had really valued and celebrated the union of divine masculine and divine feminine in a lot of ways. And so in the society, the whole point of the society is love as thou wilt. And I absolutely adore that phrase. I have it tattooed on me. And it's something that I live by. And so for one of the major events that happens in this book series is the Longest Night Midwinter Masque. And of course, that's, supposed to happen around the solstice time. And actually, in reality, I've been part of a group that has been getting together for the last about 4 or 5 years to put on a real life mask. And so as such, I am part of that group that puts that on. And in the novels, sacred sex, and especially kind of sacred courtesans are celebrated and integrated fully as members of honor in that society. And so there are 13 houses of the night court, and I am a representative of Dahlia House. And Dahlia these are the queens And that's so fitting for me. And actually, when I was part of a role-playing group many, many, many years ago, called Kushiel's Verse, I had actually chosen my house. I had actually kind of guested in these houses. And of course, it's, online role play. But I really loved it, and I made some very good friends out of the process. Some people who have cheered me on from the background, knowing what that journey actually was for me. They were part of that journey of me choosing this archetype of the queen and fulfilling that as being part of Dahlia House. And so that role play has actually also benefited me personally. So anyway, all of that is to say that we're hosting an online masque this year. And that is going to be January 8th through the 10th. And there's going to be just live events. It's all going to be happening on Discord, but I'm also going to be teaching a class called Models of Resilience in Terre D'Ange on Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, I believe. So that would be 3 p.m. my time, Mountain, which is so perfect for me. Anyway, I'm going to be teaching this because, a lot of the novels really deal with that darkness within yourself, and that ability to kind of sit with your own darkness and encounter that. And that for me is resilience, and to encounter the darkness in the rest of the world. Every one of the novels sort of wrestles with that choice and that decision. Jacqueline Carey is a master at weaving those intricate storylines together to build this overall message that is actually very deeply spiritual and human. And there's some supernatural stuff that happens in the novels, and I urge you to read it. It's, just trigger warning, there is some sexual assault, but the good part is that in this society, sexual assault is just verboten, which is wonderful. Actually, it's deemed a heresy against the gods if you force someone into sex, and that is magnificent. And I had the opportunity to talk with the author about that particular choice, and in a lot of ways, I'm writing my own novel right now too, so that kind of dovetails into another thing. But when you write, you are creating sometimes the world that you want to see, the world that you wish we had. And that's definitely what I'm doing in my own novel, and something that I've seen happen in Jacqueline Carey's as well. So I'm very, very happy to be teaching that class on next Saturday. Also, all month long, just to my Instagram followers and a few people here on Patreon, I was offering discounted tarot readings. So $45 for a chakra reading. I'm going to honor people booking those through the 5th of January. But after the 5th, the price is going to go up to $65 a reading. And there's a variety of tarot readings I do. There's a variety of spreads. There's no specific thing. There's no, kind of per card minimum or anything like that. This is just an extra service I want to be able to offer, because this is something I've been doing since I was 17 years old. I've had a relationship with tarot for, I think the entirety of the time that I have been directing my own calling. So that's something that I want to offer to folks. I view tarot as a very powerful tool of insight and reflection. I take a very Jungian view of that. I look at the archetypes of wisdom that come through in the cards, the sort of universal signals of with color and shape and, objects that, have permeated our consciousness for all of eternity. And so I'm very much in that sort of universal consciousness end of thinking of things. So if that is of interest to you, all of my readings do have a little bit of a social justice bent, because, I'm Janet and that's who I am. But they also really try to delve into those both those big picture issues, as well as the deeper unfurling of our darkness and being able to see ourselves wholly as we actually are, and to love that. So one thing I want to offer to Patreons, if you have signed up for any tier of support on this channel, I am offering you $10 off your first reading with me. So just mention the code. Well, actually, don't mention the code. Request it through Patreon and I'll honor it through there. So a couple of other things. I have a new light. I don't know if you can tell through the ring light that you can probably see on my eyeballs right now. But I got a new light for Christmas. Yay! New equipment. And I am kind of loving it right now. I get a lot of natural light in this office. I specifically moved my desk to this spot in my office so that I could look out the window. I could see the outdoors. I have seasonal affect disorder, so I'm surrounded by light a lot, but this will actually help me do some evening classes with folks. And so very, very happy for that. So very grateful to my husband for investing in this. Also, I'm going to be throughout basically the first quarter, I'm going to be pushing trauma-informed care trainings through Rose Connections. I'm a trainer. I do things. I do a lot of different things. But trauma-informed care is one of the things that I love the most. And so I'm actually going to be recording a specific trauma-informed care training here that I'm going to be making available for purchase for everyone else. But you guys, Patreons, will have free access to a 1-hour trauma-informed care training. So trauma-informed care basics, what the average person needs to know about trauma and how they can shift how they respond to it in their daily lives. So very happy about that. I am also working on a tower ebook. Every now and then, I shouldn't say every now and then, if you've known me for any amount of time, you've probably heard me talk about the tower at some point. I love referring to the tower when I'm doing tarot card readings. That is pretty much everything that I have to talk about when it comes to radical reflections as well, which is, you know, big component of my leadership agenda. But I'm working on an ebook specifically about working with your own tower. So the tower, in a very, very abbreviated sense, represents everything that was created for us for, you know, our belief systems, our how we do our dishes versus how we do our laundry versus the gender roles that we decide to accept or reject in our lives. You know, the things that were created by other people to house us, to contain us, and to help us grow. And so all of us have these towers. They're all built of different things, different objects, but then there comes a point in our life where a wrecking ball comes through our tower, or we recognize that we are outgrowing what was built for us and we are challenged to build something for ourselves. I did a presentation about this actually on the anniversary of my calling back on the 25th, and it was a wonderful, wonderful thing, and you can actually access it through oneheartoneearth.com. They are an organization that really just kind of launched me into doing this. So I'm so very grateful to Lisa Gunshore and the group over at One Heart, One Earth. I was writing over there for a while, and then it became one more thing for me to do. And I really needed to start narrowing down everything that I was doing. So, right now you can access that through them, but I'm going to be doing my own version to have live for you hopefully sometime in the next few weeks. So I'm going to do the tower presentation, but then that's going to be followed up with an ebook with a workbook for you to work through and start identifying your own tower moment, so you know how to reconstruct, because that's what we're doing, you know, out in the rest of the world, right? We have all these towers coming down, these towers of institutions and systems that are no longer working for us. Wrecking balls have come through. That's what COVID was, is a huge wrecking ball to our tower, right? So we need to figure out how we rebuild. Do we rebuild it in exactly the same image with exactly the same tools and materials, or do we change something? Do we need to burrow down into the foundations and take out the rot that is there? So it works on a macro level and it works on a micro level as well. And I'm going to be writing that book with both of those things in mind. So stay tuned for that. That's probably coming not any earlier than March. I'm meticulous with my writing sometimes, although you wouldn't be able to tell it sometimes on my blog, which takes me to one other thing. I would love some folks who would be willing to proofread for me, who'd be willing to create transcripts of these videos so that I can make them accessible for the general public, for folks who are deaf or hearing impaired, so that they have subtitles to go with all this. That's what I'm getting at, subtitles. So if you're willing to volunteer, I cannot pay right now. But that's something that I'm willing to also barter with free readings or some leadership coaching or something like that. If that's of interest to you and you want to volunteer to do a few of those tasks for me, you know, whether it's proofreading my blog posts or helping me, you know, proofread the captions to these videos or helping me maintain my Patreon or whatever, I do need an extra set of hands more often than I'm willing to admit. And so that's a challenge for me in 2021, is asking for the help that I need. That has always been a challenge for me. I am so very gung-ho about being so self-sustaining. And yet one of the biggest things that came to light for me, and the reason why I love doing leadership coaching, is that I had a lot of trouble adjusting to delegating because of the way, the quality with which I view people. I had a lot of trouble being in a quote superior space with them. And so that has led me to doing this leadership coaching so that we can preserve those values of equality and justice, and that, you know, I'm not superior to you, while still being able to maintain sort of the business hierarchy that we have to have. Anyway, all of that is to say that asking for help, delegating, being able to allow myself to be helped is so very difficult. So that's what I'm going to work on in 2021. And I'm actually going to have a video. The next Radical Reflections is going to be about asking for help. I think that that is actually pretty critical, and it should be on everyone's New Year's resolution this year. A couple of other things, just maintenance with this particular group, with my Patreon page. I just did a series of daily deck draws. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing a weekly deck draw and posting it here to Patreon just for all members. So these are some extra perks. These are some extra things that are going to be coming. So if you have not signed up already for this Patreon, this is a really, really good time to do it, because I'm going to be adding a lot more content moving forward into the next year. Also with that, I have a lot of work to do on my existing blog on Sharp Sweet Bella. That has been a place of self-expression for me. That's been a place where I can talk about those macro issues and those micro effects, but it also is stupid old. I've had that blog since 2011. Obviously, you know, there's only about 150 posts on there. Because there was a lot of time there where I was not active. But I need to do a lot of blog cleanup. So that's also another thing that, you know, I'm going to be enlisting some help with. And so if signing up for the Patreon is not something that you can financially do right now, I totally get it. Again, I'm very willing to be, let's figure something out, because if my message resonates with you to the point where you want to help what I'm doing, then I want to be able to give a value to you in exchange for all that energy that you are giving me. So with all of that said, when I did the sort of not safe for work post last month, it really was kind of a debacle on that page, because I don't want the general public to be able to access this. I've been through that dog and pony show one too many times, and that has not turned out well for me. So I want only the people who are invested in maintaining and respecting the dignity of the privacy in which I'm trusting folks. Really. So from here on out, the not safe for work stuff is actually going to be here on Patreon. I don't know how long it's going to be sustainable there, but we'll figure something out, right? We'll figure out something, and maybe it's creating a new page. I'm exploring the idea of OnlyFans, especially for not safe for work stuff. And there's a lot of not safe for work stuff that I could be doing that I really actually enjoy doing. But I don't think it belongs here. That said, one of the perks that's available here is joining a Discord group. I have played around with Discord. I'm still not convinced it's the right place for me. I'll see how it goes with the online mass that we're doing in a couple weeks. So I'll play around with it a little bit more, maybe get a little bit more, some extra help from my friends in the Kushiel verse on how to really maximize that place for connection and community. In the meantime, I do have a private Facebook group, Temple of the Rose Gold Heart. You can just Google exactly this and get in there. And so send me a request and I will hopefully be able to see you over there soon. So that's also a place that I want to create as a nurturing environment. I can't guarantee a safe environment. I can guarantee that everything that I want posted there is going to be nurturing or thought-provoking or comforting and insightful. So that is the aim of that group, so that we have a little bit more of a community that we are building. I really want to build a movement to create that heart-centered, trauma-informed society that really understands the power, the connective and frankly policy power of law, of love. Whew, I need more coffee, right? All right. Last up, two last things. I am going to be posting to YouTube more often. I'm going to be posting on those three main components that of leadership that I always talk about. So consider these free 15-minute lessons. I try to keep them under 20 minutes, and really my aim is to keep them at 15 minutes. Although just judging from this video alone, no way I can keep anything to only 15 minutes. That's just so difficult for me. So feel free to subscribe to those. Those are free. You don't have to sign up for Patreon for that. However, I also will occasionally be posting, my monthly transmissions to that YouTube channel. Sometimes I'm going to make them public. Sometimes I'm not. And so I'm going to be doing a public one probably about once a quarter. And eventually I want to move to every solstice. I will do one public reading every solstice. So, that was a lot of stuff. Also, I am very welcome to looking at collaborations with folks. I approached someone today saying, hey, let's do a live reading together, a live ritual together, maybe, on the next full moon or something like that. So I'm exploring other things. I'm exploring Instagram Live. I've just signed up for TikTok. We'll see. 2021 is going to bring a lot of change for us. 2020 was about, kind of that wrecking ball coming through several of our systems all at once. And 2021 is going to be about assessing and rebuilding. And that is going to require us to be flexible and mutable to change. So expect more updates. I try to do these updates once a month, but if you have not signed up for this Patreon already, hopefully I've given you a little bit of insight as to what you're going to see here. I'm recording my transmission for the month in the next few minutes, so stay tuned and that'll be posted on New Year's Day. Thank you so much.